This boy and girl are going to be well equipped when the time comes to take their places as worthy members of adult society.
Aloha, y'all. This is Daniel Eisenman, the host of the Breaking Normal podcast, where my guests are all invited based on the frequency of synchronicity, all done in person, and all trailblazers in the breaking of all things normal.
Okay.
Cheers. Kathey Pear. Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice to be here.
Are you familiar with the podcast world, or is this one of your first ones, or like your 100th one? Or
No, I'm pretty much of a novice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know?
Because it doesn't sound like you're a novice in the world of people that would be interviewed on podcast.
Yes, that's true. But, just based on my age, I'm not the target audience for most podcasts.
Well, I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see if we can break that normal. Because my understanding is you have a rich history of a lot of cool things that, like, my audience might be very curious about,
Right.
like your entrepreneurial endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like you brought something. You were showing me a sign of sorts. Is that like a what did you got here?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll read it. Or do you want to? Do you know it by heart?
It says, life is too short to be serious all the time. If you can't laugh at yourself, call me and I'll laugh at you. My basic belief is if you're not having fun, you're wasting your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I won't do anything that I'm not intentionally enjoying. And I love working. So many people have said to me, oh my God, now you can retire. I'm like, why would I want to do that? Well, after you make your first billion, you'll retire. I'm like, no, I could make $20 billion. Well, no, I couldn't. But if I did, I still wouldn't retire because what's the point? I'm going to sit there and count my money? I don't think so.
Thank you, Yavel, for the connection right off the bat. I mean, I've asked this on many podcasts for many people is why would you do something you want to retire from?
Exactly. That's a really good perspective, or as I like to call it, perspective.
Nice. So you have a vocabulary of your own, it sounds like.
I have my own, yes. Paranoia, parenthetically speaking, all sorts of perspective. I like perspective, particularly in this era, because I hear so many people saying, well, everyone has their own perspective. I'm like, yes, but only I have a perspective.
And that's your last name is the actual like fruit, the pear?
It is, yeah.
The pear. There's lots of pears that grow here in Boulder. My daughter and I pick them on our walks back and forth to school sometimes in the fall.
More apples.
There are definitely more apples.
Yeah.
The pear. Do you feel like another theme that's come up on the podcast is I have interviewed people like Donnie Dust, right? And this guy is obsessed with stones. And then I think of Usain Bolt, and I'm like, well, he's like the fastest person in the world.
Right.
Are you a pear of sorts?
Well, I have what I call the world's largest and most likely only collection of paraphernalia. So I have thousands of little pear things that I've either found or people have given me. It's one of those long, I was told growing up it was a long Russian name that was shortened at Ellis Island to pear.
Okay.
However, I've since learned that my grandfather was always lying to us. He knew exactly what it was. It was actually pear-shettes, which he thought sounded shetsy in English. So they just lopped off the shettes and made it pear.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where were you born?
I was born in the Big Egg, New York City.
Oh, wow. The Big Egg.
I thought everyone was born in New York and then migrated.
And you said you got to Boulder quite some time ago, well before me.
Yeah, I came to Boulder in 77, took one look at, coming over the hill into Boulder, took one look at the mountains, and I recognized it. It was so obvious to me. I had been drawing this skyline since I was in second grade. It was like triangle and rocks. And I lived in New Jersey, which was completely flat. So where I got that skyline, I don't know, but I noticed the minute I saw it, I knew I was here. And I was
Wow.
home. So
Were you visiting with the intention of possibly living here? Or?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. My husband at the time was going back to school to get a degree in engineering so he could actually make a living. And we were checking out places to move. And Boulder was the first place we visited. We didn't go anywhere else. We stayed.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. I went to the on a field trip with my daughter. She goes to elementary school nearby, and we went to the Boulder Museum, and they were showing like
yeah.
up the timeline of Boulder history, but a possible different timeline.
Right.
And allegedly there was a big dispute if they were a CU, the colleges,
Mhm.
would it be a prison?
Right.
Holy mackerel.
So Boulder obviously lost. We could have had a prison.
And then they showed like what it would look like with high rises, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I am so happy that's not the case.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
happy we fought not
When did you come here?
in 2019.
Oh, okay. You're recent.
Yeah, I was nomadic. The funny thing is, I meet a lot more people that are newer than me. A lot.
Yeah. Well, Boulder does have a lot of people kind of flowing in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing, because I was pretty nomadic. I traveled for about 10 years, been to all 50 states and 20 something countries. And I felt like when I got to Boulder, I met a lot of people that did the same thing I did. They like were nomadic, and they like made this their home base.
Yeah. And then they all were planning to stay now.
A lot of people. Yeah. It's like a lot of people I meet here have traveled the world, and this is where they want to live as their base.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm more Hobbit-like. You know, I see myself as Frodo. I found my little Hobbit hole right here in Boulder, and I don't really want to go anywhere. I mean, I know that sounds terribly boring, but I like staying home.
It's a great...
However, I didn't feel that way when I lived in New Jersey, where I grew up.
Oh yeah, which part of New Jersey? My dad's from New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
Vineland.
Oh, Vineland, near Cape May.
What about you?
That's how, I was from Cherry Hill,
Okay.
just across the river from Philly.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Also South Jersey. My favorite line is, "I'm from New Jersey, but it's not my fault."
I think my dad will appreciate that.
Yeah.
So my understanding is you have been quite the entrepreneur, would you call yourself? Or ecopreneur, maybe?
Yeah, my thing was
Ecopreneur.
Ecopreneur. That's entrepreneur. I graduated with a degree that I never really thought, well, what am I going to do for a job? But I got an MFA from Washington State University in 1975. And when I got to Boulder, I realized jobs teaching ceramics were pretty few and far between. So I ended up getting a job in sales, and I worked for Sears first, learned all the customer is always right bullshit. Now I modified that to, well, the customer is often right, but there's plenty of times they don't know what the hell they're doing. So that's partly my job. Is I've always looked at it more as triage than as sales. I feel like I need to help people figure out what it is they should be wanting.
That's pretty interesting. The ceramics I'm kind of curious about. I know someone in town that teaches ceramics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she might agree with you that there's few and far between.
Very few jobs. On average, there's about 3 university positions a year that open up.
Okay.
And there's probably 500 to 1,000 students graduating that think they'd like to do that.
Okay.
So unless we kill off the people that have the current jobs, which I did consider, we're probably not going to get them.
Do you still do ceramics?
You know, I don't. I got too busy doing what I do now.
Okay. And is this where the next career started? The sales, Sears?
Yeah, in Boulder, I started working for DBS. It was Drever Business Systems. There was a whole pocket, speaking of the Museum of Boulder that you mentioned, you went with your daughter, when I moved here in the late 70s, there were a whole bunch of, kind of hippie era woodworkers
Okay.
that someone came up with the idea we could corral all these people because they're all alone in their cabins building things and, had no idea what to do with that. So Contemporary Comfort opened. That was a pine furniture manufacturer.
Wow.
And Drever Business Systems, which was primarily oak and walnut, more business furniture manufacturer. So those two employed a couple of hundred, I would imagine, of these itinerant woodworkers. And it was a thriving industry in Boulder. There was also Shack Spindle. They made spindles.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know much about spindles.
Well, I'm pretty curious about that. So it sounds like that was a little subculture going on here.
It was. I tried to sell the museum on doing a little thing about that, but they didn't find it as interesting as I did. Oh, well.
And what was your job with that company?
Sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're sticking with the sales / triage.
Yeah. I always was better at selling than at doing anything else. And I don't know exactly why that is, but maybe because I don't define selling as talking anybody into anything. I define it as helping people figure out what they need. And, I don't think I've ever intentionally steered anybody into something that I didn't think was good for them.
I have had question in my mind sometimes, like, what isn't sales?
Exactly. Yeah. Relationships are sales.
I know. It's like I'm selling, in a way,
Communication.
I'm selling you on myself in this communication, and probably the ways that at least you'll think highly of me, or that we'll stay in touch. Or,
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that's like my core intention. My core intention is to offer you a valuable time.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's me being a salesman.
Who knows? Yeah, no, definitely. Anybody who's outgoing is a sales type. So basically, you have salespeople and engineers. That's the way I look at the world.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And it's pretty distinctly different. I was married to an engineer. I know the difference.
How would someone, like, if they are feeling a little caught up, like, am I a sales or am I an engineer? I mean, I would put myself in the sales category pretty easy, but what about people that feel on the fence? Are there?
Well, that's a really good question. I don't have an answer to that, having not ever been there myself. But I've always felt that I had to fill in the conversations for the engineers. And I guess in my, from my perspective, they are much more introverted generally and don't like being interrupted. They need to focus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if all salespeople are this way, but I would classify myself, I don't know you well enough to know, as very ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be starting one idea, I'll move on to another, I'll never come back to that one. I'll spend a long time trying to figure out what it was. And then I'll just gracefully move on to a third thing. But your typical engineer and or scientist is more linear.
Yeah, I also very much resonate with that. I've heard the idea attention dialed into a higher dimension.
Yeah.
And then I called myself an ambitious, defiant, happy Danimal at one point. I do have ADHD. I'm an ambitious, defiant, happy Daniel.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What would you call Elon Musk?
Oh, man. He seems to be walking the line, I'm guessing, in a way.
I don't know. I mean, he's got a little bit of both.
Yeah.
An interesting
but I would say sales.
combination.
I would say sales for some reason. I bet he
more.
Yeah, that's my hunch.
I think he's more of a natural engineer, but trying to be.
Yeah. He's selling some big ideas to all of us.
Well, not all of us.
Not everyone's sold.
His lack of his comment about oh gosh, empathy is sort of like the death of mankind.
I haven't heard that one.
That probably is not all that accurate, but it's basically the intention of what he said. And I feel like empathy is the only possible redemption of person kind.
Why do you, because mankind, that includes
well, no,
all
I
persons?
mean, without empathy, what is the point?
No, I just heard you say person kind instead of mankind.
Person kind, yes. I hate that. In first grade, I came home with a paper for my mother, and I handed it to her, and I said, I think they gave me the wrong one. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, look, it says, tell your student XYZ if he asks for this and he this and he that. I'm like, why would they do that? Why wouldn't it say he or she or,
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's bothered me since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow. Well, things have definitely changed on that front.
Mostly, yeah.
I mean, especially around school communication and
Absolutely.
such.
Yeah. I mean, the whole wokeness, I've never gotten into that, but I also don't like being the half of the world that's not mentioned.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Pretty much linguistically excluded.
Another thing about my daughter that I'm excited about is she won her class spelling bee.
Oh.
And so I've been thinking about words a lot lately because she has the school competition on Monday.
What were her winning words?
They did I guess she went through the first round, so they picked 3 winners from every grade, and they did it was a written test, but now it's going to be the spoken one, like the official scripts. I don't think I ever won the spelling bee. Were you into that world?
I don't remember actually doing the spelling bee.
I find the words we choose to use to be amazingly impactful on our lives.
Absolutely. Well, language is, the primary tool we use to think.
So, on your perspectives happening right now, I have some questions for you that I'm going to get to, but I'm curious, what is most exciting for you? What would you want people to know about you?
I'm in a really nice point in my life where money is not my primary motivation. My primary motivation is to do something that actually contributes something to good rather than evil. I know that sounds really naive, but when I look around at what's going on in the world now, I feel like, I can't contribute everything, but I can contribute one little thing. And the one thing I can do is help people figure out what to do with all the stuff that they have when they move, particularly business moves, which are much more impactful on the environment than residential moves. That's bad enough. But the estimates that I've seen are anywhere from, in the US alone, 10 to 12 million tons. So multiply 10 to 12 times 2,000. It's a lot of office furniture, which is also estimated to be about 90% of everything that comes out of an office ends up in landfill.
Okay. Wow.
I knew this because I was selling people the stuff that eventually ends up in landfill. And I'd feel terrible when, I'd hear, well, what did you do with the chairs? Well, we had to kind of throw them away. I'm like, really? Really? You paid a lot of money for them and they were good. They could be reused. Well, they're not the trendy color now, and our designer told us that we can't have brown and tan anymore. It has to be gray and silver. So, we didn't want to pay for expensive storage. So let's just throw them out. And I mean, that's oversimplification, but essentially it's a lot of work to figure out what to do with all this stuff. And our recycling efforts don't make it any easier.
What do you mean by that part? Our recycling efforts don't make it any easier.
Metal can be recycled, but the fabric, any wood that's been, glued, painted, or treated in any way can't be recycled. Laminate can't be recycled. Insulation material in panels can't be recycled. There's a million components to office furniture, foam, you name it. And if only the metal can be recycled, what do you do with the rest of it? And that's kind of the problem. It's not something that's impossible, but nobody has cared about it enough yet to come up with alternatives.
Wow. We're also in somewhat parallel industries. I don't know if Yovel told you.
Parallel?
In a way, like, I'm not sure if that's the proper word, but I'm using byproducts of animals, bison and elk in particular, that used to get thrown away, or it was a real job to figure out what to do with it, particularly liver, heart, tallow, bones, etc.
Yeah.
So I
shudder to ask, what are you doing with it?
Well, for instance, this right here, Yovel, I brought this for you, the rest of my bottle, if you want it. I think you like this product.
Elk antler.
It might just like
liver and heart.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the liver and the heart, about 10 years ago, I don't think they were nearly in as much demand as they are now. Like going to dog food, sometimes getting thrown away. But it turns out it's the most nutritious part of the body. Yeah. Is the liver and then the other organs. And we're selling these at a high premium.
Wow.
Because they're awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's for you, Yovel. And I brought you some gifts. I brought honey. We're starting to, this is raw Colorado honey from Southern Colorado. If you do you like honey?
Yes.
So a lot of people say it's the best honey in the world.
Wow.
And then a tallow balm. So this is made from bison kidney fat.
Ooh.
And this is like what the indigenous people would use to make their skin products and other products. Mm-hmm. Yovel also loves this. Not only Yovel, pretty much everyone loves this. But I brought these for, yep. If you would like to smell it or try it, there you go, Yovel. Before I forget, boom.
Interesting.
Yep. So, yes. Well, and that's what I'm focused on. And now it's different because people are realizing, okay, wow, there's a huge market for these. Like, so I have a lot of competitors and such.
Do you?
Yeah, but there's still parts. There's like the blood. Sometimes the thymus, adrenal, and thyroid. I think that we might be competing with pharmaceutical companies.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets a little shady, like some of these things.
Where are you processing this?
So I work directly with ranchers and or brokers, and then freeze dryers, and we're actually setting up a kitchen in Boulder with some extra large freeze dryers.
Wow.
And then encapsulators like co-packers, and here in Colorado, Wisconsin.
I actually I had a grinding operation going for mixed material furniture. We were using auto shredders. This was trying to remember, this would have been around 2002, 2004. Companies that owned auto shredders were, like large waste companies, were willing to take whole cubicles and shred them and then grind the material. And, the question is, what do you do with that? Yeah. I had I was studying this. This is when the internet was fairly new. It was definitely new to me. And I discovered you could learn all this stuff, it was like, wow. So I connected with this guy at LSU in Baton Rouge, and we were experimenting with liquefaction of this material and pouring it into molds and doing things with it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we ran out of money. The stock market kind of collapsed at that point. I moved on to other things. Being as ADD as I am, it's no problem.
Yeah. I love the idea. It has happened so many times. For instance, in making like cheese making, there's a byproduct, whey protein. A lot of people just used to dump that or feed it to their pigs, which I still think is a decent idea if you're having like a whole circular farm situation.
Yeah.
But now it's look at whey protein is huge.
Right.
It's a huge market.
Hmm.
So I'm very fascinated by this, and especially with the way animal processing is going.
Hmm.
There was a grant that was going on. It was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, this grant is made for me. And it was basically a grant, I think, from the USDA to fund small companies that are turning animal, particularly bison byproducts such as bones, into something as a valuable product. And I was all set up. And then that whole thing that you mentioned, Elon Musk, the Doge thing,
yeah.
all that funding got frozen. I was like, this is going to be my first grant. I'm like, I'm already doing this. Like, I'm an expert in this. And like all their funding got frozen. But long story short, I'm very interested in this idea. And this is what you're working on currently?
Well, currently I'm, not that far along in the processing chain. I'm strictly going in and helping people figure out what to do with all of the stuff that's coming out of their building. And we're talking hundreds of, multiple items, work surfaces, panels, chairs, even office supplies and kitchen supplies.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what about like freezers and like kitchen tables? Because I'm in the market for both right now.
Well, there are furniture banks. Unfortunately, for the most part, they're all residentially oriented. And there's one in Boulder called Home Ahead. It's affiliated or originally started by some folks at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church on Baseline. And they consolidate furniture and other household items for people who are currently not housed and are being moved into cost-effective housing situations.
Okay.
And they provide all that for, at no cost to the recipient.
Okay.
So I've been donating a lot of things to them. The problem is that there's a mismatch between what comes out of an office and what somebody wants in their new apartment.
Yeah.
It's really hard to sleep on panels. But you can use chairs as dining chairs and, in all sorts of other arrangements. So we call that repurposing. But I would guess maybe 20% of what I get out of a typical, we call it decommissioning, of what about 20% of that is repurposable that way. Some of it, like large conference tables, can be repurposed in schools for, like kids to sit around a big old table and do crafts.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Library use. Some will be recycled, the metal, and some of it I'll try to resell to companies that either value sustainability or really just need to save a big chunk of their budget. So getting furniture for about a quarter of what you would buy it for new is really attractive to those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sustainability a lot of people care about it until they find out that it's going to cost them more. And this is the problem, you kind of have to put your money where your mouth is. Short-term thinking is, the easiest thing to do is just make it go away. The harder thing to do is actually deal with it. And that's what I do.
Wow. Yeah. That seems like a huge business opportunity for someone innovative.
It is. It's a very good opportunity if you have someplace to store that furniture. And that's been the biggest problem. Very few people that own buildings want to donate the use of their buildings for free. So as the cost of real estate goes up, and it has astronomically in Colorado, storage that used to cost $3 to $5 a square foot in Boulder now is going in the mid, $20 a square foot. A lot of that was initially because of cannabis being legalized.
Okay.
And all of a sudden,
Okay,
those
that
big
makes sense.
office
Yeah.
buildings became grow operations.
Oh, interesting. Wow, freakonomics.
So, yeah, I wish that's one of my regrets in life, that I didn't buy real estate right before cannabis passed.
Wow.
Because then I would have it and I could use it. But I'm still looking for a vacant field where we can pour a cement pad and put up a circus tent, because we don't need heat.
That's what I was
for
just
most of the
thinking. I was just
furniture.
thinking a big horse barn. Like I was thinking Azure's yellow barn. The horse, they have a whole, do you know what I'm talking about?
The yellow barn.
Yeah.
Out on,
They have a big horse trailer thing in the back that they're not using, or a horse auditorium or something.
Huh.
And they were, I'm like, that's the first place I thought I came.
You'll
I'm
have
like,
to introduce me. I'm always looking for something like that, because it's really expensive. I don't mind donating most of my labor. I do a lot of pro bono stuff for nonprofits. Recently, over the last year, similar to what happened to you, a lot of nonprofits have lost enough funding that they have to move out of space that they've occupied, in some cases 40 years or more. And they have so much stuff that they don't even realize, it's stuck in boxes and drawers. And I worked with Colorado Humanities recently. They're the ones that do the Colorado Book Awards. We had to donate thousands of books in addition to their furniture and office supplies and kitchen supplies. And, we managed to do most of it at very low cost.
I'm also thinking about colleges. Like the college kids seem like, how so many people live on the hill and there's like 15 kids in one mansion.
Absolutely.
Like why? Yeah, like why aren't they just buying all that kind of? I almost feel like it'd be cool for like that type of house to have like unique.
Absolutely, they would, but where are they going to see it?
That's it. One where, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is, do I have a storefront? No. You put stuff on Facebook Marketplace, but it just doesn't really. You need I think a real place,
a location
to have it. And then I've thought about that a lot. Even if you just had it on Thursday and Friday afternoons, come $5 an item, that would cover our cost.
It'd be so fun too, especially in like a big circus thing, like you're saying, like that'd be like crazy. Yeah.
My goal in life is to have more fun and to help other people have more fun. So that would be great.
What about that North Boulder Art District with all those different little businesses?
That, we call it the Emerald City, all those green buildings.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are now in the $20 and up.
Oh, they are. Okay. Yeah.
They may look like they're not worth anything, but they're worth something to somebody, obviously.
All right. How are we doing on time? 33 minutes. Cool. You want to go through some of these questions? They're kind of meant to be answered just intuitively. All right. These are some fun popcorn ones that I think they'll be relevant and fun for you to explore out loud. What's something you learned in warehouses and installs that most boardrooms still don't understand?
In warehouses and what?
Installs?
Installs that most boardrooms don't understand. I think most boardrooms are strictly focused on the bottom line. And I think there is so much good stuff out there. I go into most decoms and find at least a half a dozen little treasures. And, whether that's an antique chair, which in my book is about 30 years old, from a manufacturer that I have visited in, upstate New York. There are just things that you can reupholster. You can just do a lot of really cool stuff with all of the pieces and parts of the furniture that people just look at as garbage.
Sounds like we could use some more treasure hunters out there for these situations.
You have to be somewhat nosy. I love going through other people's stuff.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, thrifting is huge.
Exactly. It's just like thrifting constantly.
Yeah. Wow. When did you realize sustainability had become a marketing word instead of a practice? And how do you stay honest anyway?
That's a really good question. Sounds like I'm an AI, doesn't it? Oh, that's a wonderful question. I started to be victimized by people who were doing the marketing. In one case about 7 or 8 years ago, it's probably when greenwashing really came to the forefront for me. We would be taking stuff out for people out of state, in this case, sometimes Canadian companies. And we'd put it in our warehouse, and then we'd invoice them. And they would say, oh, no, just keep it there. We're going to ship it to some imaginary company in some imaginary location. And 6 months later, we'd send another letter with the same question. So when are you going to pay the invoice? Well, just keep it there. We're XYZ company. We're getting close. And eventually we'd end up having to deal with it and never get paid. And those are some of the companies that spend the most time marketing how we are so sustainable. Don't, call us. We'll help you do this.
Interesting.
And they market to the large banks and institutions that somebody there really does care about sustainability, but not enough to actually check into it and do the work. So they'll hire somebody who says, if their name of their company is the sustainability company, they'll just take their word for it.
I've noticed that a lot in my my industry. Like this, like, I know some of these supplement companies, and they like make these claims of like 100,000 customers. I'm like, there's not even enough organs. You are so full of it, and you just started 1 month ago. Like, what are you even talking about?
I know, it's amazing. Well, here's the thing: to make a lot of money, you can do it. If all you really care about is to make a lot of money, you also have to be somewhat shameless.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's a good sign of someone's character, though.
Well, definitely not. Unless, of course, you think that, value is, if you equate all value with the pile of money you've accumulated, then I guess to them it's a good thing.
It's wacky. Not the kind of breaking normal I want to be. What's the most expensive mistake you ever made?
Thinking that I could translate or transfer stuff that I've learned in my furniture business and, in various incarnations to other things I was interested in. I have lost a lot of money and time and face just, trying to do things that I had no business being involved with. And that's one of the things that I really have learned. If you find something you're good at and you enjoy it, do it. Why keep, don't go to law school. Don't, become a financier. Just do what you like. And why, that's my primary value in life.
It almost sounds like one of the most expensive mistakes someone can make is doing something for money that they don't want to do.
I think that's true. Even in my case, I was doing things. I had one business that was involved with, I became like an internet evangelist. It was called Tech Butler.
Okay. Oh,
it was when I discovered the internet, which was in about 1995 or 6. My then husband, who was an engineer, said, oh, I can, get you a computer and we can teach you to use email and the internet. And I was toying around with whether I would do that or learn how to knit. They seemed about equal value to me at that time. Thank God I didn't worry about learning how to knit. And, which I still would like to know how to do, but I'd rather have somebody else just do it for me. I'm too fast paced for it. But once I got on the internet, I discovered, oh my God, this is like the ultimate communication tool. And within a month of him setting up my computer, I was having people in New Hampshire engrave rocks with sayings that I wanted and ship them to me. And that was when shipping was a lot cheaper. Just because I could, I discovered if I had an idea, I could turn it into something. You couldn't do that before the internet. At least I couldn't.
Are you an AI evangelist now?
Well, I'll say that the last half a dozen legal questions I've had, I've gone straight to AI. So yeah, instead of calling an attorney, and I think I get better results. So no, I mean, I realize that using our brains can be outsourced. And at that point, what are we? I know that. But it is, the shortcut is a little bit compelling.
Yeah, it seems like we're at a place where the prompt is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use ChatGPT? Is that your go-to, or do you use
No, I've been using Gemini and Perplexity.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that could bring up a lot. If landfill space were priced like beachfront property, how would business decisions change?
Wow, what an excellent question. Yeah, landfill is not cheap, but yes, I think we've all seen the movies of other countries with mountains of our garbage. I think it would force people to get more creative to reduce the cost of landfill.
What do you think someone like an entrepreneur, say my younger brother right now, he's like been selling cars, he's a salesman, he's been selling cars for a while. Not at a dealership, but like buying and selling, and even tractor equipment and other things.
Sure.
And he's maybe curious about doing something new. What do you think the best opportunity in this industry for a young, ambitious?
In my industry?
Yeah, a young, ambitious, innovative hustler.
I think finding physical locations that you can set up very inexpensively and attracting people, like the thrifting idea, would just be amazing. Is that a possibility? Do those things exist? Not in Boulder, but
in Georgia, maybe.
In Georgia, maybe. Different. What about East Weld County?
Why not?
I don't know.
And so you're saying for someone to get the space and then where do they go to get this absurd amount of furniture, accessories at a great deal?
Well, they can come to me. I'll show them where it is.
Okay.
It's very easy to find.
Wow.
I actually, I have done I told you about, I've done no marketing. Pretty much everybody that I've been working with has been referred to me by somebody that I've either sold furniture to in the past or helped get rid of furniture, more recently, or even just helped, design, get creative with their space. I have I call worthless master's degree in fine arts, as we were talking about. Even though I couldn't turn that into, I couldn't monetize it, but I love playing around with space and, building things. And so, I've done a lot of that too.
Are you familiar with Mike Reynolds, from the guy that did the Earth ships in Taos, New Mexico?
Oh, I didn't know the name, but yes, my ex-husband and lives in Taos, and we've been to see those.
Okay.
They're really, really interesting.
I interviewed him for this podcast. He's a wizard.
Did
That guy
you?
is very breaking
I would
normal.
love to meet him.
He's great. I
Maybe
trust
I
he's
can-
still doing great. I haven't talked to him in a while.
I'd be happy to donate furniture to him.
Huh.
So
All right, another connection.
I'm constantly looking for more places that can use furniture. You know, like I was saying, Home Ahead is wonderful for the repurposable items. But what about the stuff that, you can't use in a home situation and really can't resell? What do you do with those?
Is it possible to use them like a building material?
I mean, it's possible to do a lot of things. That was what our liquefaction thing was, would have been. But money gets in the way, timing and cost gets in the way every time.
All right, we'll keep pumping these out and see what happens. What's a problem you solved early in your career that people are still overcomplicating today?
I think, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of marketing. I think for me, I think I always just tried to help people, and it spread by word of mouth. I never spent a lot of my time or money on trying to lure people into something. I thought, I mean, I am naive. I know that. I'm definitely a believer that people are basically good, although everything going on in the world is trying to convince me otherwise. I would rather go down in flames my way than looking over my shoulder all the time at everybody trying to stab me in the back. I
think that's a good point. I'm definitely a big believer in what you're saying, like offering something so valuable that people can't not tell their friends about it.
I guess that's what I feel like I have always done. I mean, I have people call me that I worked with their parents like 40 years ago, and the parents told them to call me. And,
Wow.
That's really nice. That's the kind of thing that makes me feel like I have added some value to the world.
On that note, when you sold a company and did not retire, what did you realize about yourself?
No, I knew I didn't want to retire, but I sold the company thinking that I'd be able to stay. And what I realized about myself is I'm an absolutely horrible employee. I can't not be who I am, even for money. And I should have known this because years ago in sales trainings, we would always do this role playing. There was something called Xerox training.
Okay.
And during the role playing, which is basically acting, I would always, I couldn't do it. I would feel so false and I would start giggling. It was really obnoxious. I was the worst role player I think I've ever seen in a class situation, but I can't do it. So it's very hard for me when somebody says, well, I'm the boss now and you'll have to not do it your way. You'll have to do it my way. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's what I realized.
Another thing,
even if I want to, I can't.
Yeah, I think that might be another thing we have in common. That might be like.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey, you're breaking normal.
Nah. No, I never thought normal was a good thing.
All right. All right. What's a sustainability best practice you quietly disagree with?
I have to give that one some thought. Sustainability best practice. Just the home recycling, separating your bottles and cans. And, I've just seen way too much of that stuff all end up in the same place. It's not that I disagree with it. I think it's good concept, but I think it's, kind of basically bullshit. They, people, again, it's people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk.
You're definitely not the first person I've heard that from. Especially I've heard some things about that in California.
Yeah.
The people are in the know and they're like, you think that's real?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's sad, but I don't think it's very real.
Okay. What decision looked small at the time, but completely altered the trajectory of your career?
Probably having my daughter. I thought, oh, you have a kid, you take the kid with you, you just do stuff. It certainly changed the way I looked at life. But that's not really the kind of thing you're looking for.
Well, it might be.
It might be. I don't know. I was 43 when I had my daughter.
Wow.
And
that's awesome. That's great.
Honestly, only because I had no concept that I was aging. I still really don't, other than the fact that my ankle will occasionally give out on a hike. Physically, I'm aging, but mentally, I've never aged very much. I still think I'm 26.
I also wonder about if that's a bit of a longevity correlation, possibly, or people that have children when they're older.
Well, I certainly didn't have any trouble getting pregnant.
Yeah,
so it
awesome.
may be a longevity thing. Who knows?
My grandma lived to 100.
Wow.
And I think she was like 41, 2 or 3 when my mom was born. And my grandfather was like 60 something.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Time will tell, right?
All right. What do young founders misunderstand about scale?
Yeah. I think everybody wants to scale very quickly. And I think you're better off going slowly enough to survive your mistakes. We're all there's nobody who doesn't make mistakes. And you're fortunate if you have the time to learn from them before they overwhelm you.
That sounds like some wisdom right there. It's at 2:30. All right, we're getting pretty close. Maybe I'll just choose one more here. Maybe one or two more. There's a couple of good ones in here. If you had to rebuild your career from scratch tomorrow, what would you not do again?
I would probably have gotten into the sustainability part of what I do sooner. I watched so many jobs end up either in, like 10-year storage or landfill. And the 10-year storage inevitably ended up in landfill. It just took longer. I watched that and I didn't try. I was caught up in getting the big jobs and, doing everything that the large manufacturers need salespeople to be doing, because if you don't sell their product, they don't have anything to make, and then they don't have jobs for people, and then they don't exist. So there was kind of an inevitability to that, but I knew that it bothered me, and it always bothered me from the time I was in my late 20s until now. But finally I had the downtime and the ability to try to do something about it. And again, I've done so little, but it's better than nothing.
It's almost like imagining someone, it's like, yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money so that then I can do this like philanthropic dream, right? Yeah. And I'm almost hearing you say like, no, just do that now. If you can do it.
I wish I could have done it a lot sooner. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you read this one little article that I wrote, but I've always loved the concept of a potlatch. Do you know what a potlatch is?
No.
It's I don't know if you would call it a concept. It was something that when I was in grad school in Pullman, Washington, there were a lot of Native American students. There are a lot of smaller tribes, Nez Perce. I don't remember most of the names, but in the Northwest. And the culmination of a good life in these small clans was to hoard stuff and accumulate as much as you can in order to have a potlatch. And the idea of a potlatch was a giant party, and you'd give away everything you had accumulated. So, the ultimate goal was to have the party, which is fun, and give it away. And then you'd be really respected for having this huge party where you gave stuff away. I loved that.
Would the whole community or clan do this at once, or was it like one family at a time? Do you know?
No, each person someone would hold a potlatch.
Okay.
And
then they would give away all the stuff they have accumulated.
Yes.
Wow, what a healthy
Isn't that something?
Practice, because I think I know too many people that hoard so many things they're never good. Like I'm just like,
They'll never give it away.
It's like it's just in the attic for decades.
Or their bank account. I mean, what are you going to do with your piles of money? Don't get me started on inherited wealth. I think it's a terrible, problem.
Okay, meaning that you're like, meaning you like want to give your money away before you leave, kind of thing, like, or put it in the right place.
Well, actually, I'm planning to spend it.
Okay.
all. But no, I think the idea that everybody should be born with an opportunity, and the recent announcement of the $1,000 Trump awards are,
I've heard something about this.
I've always thought that every kid born should have, if anybody has a trust fund, then everyone should have a trust fund, because it's not that nobody's equal, because we're all different, but everyone should have the opportunity to do what it is they want to do. And without money, you don't have that opportunity. So leaving it all, you keep generationally accumulating it. The people on the other side of that hill are either not ever going to have it, or they're going to have to take it from the other side of the hill that has it. And I'd rather share it now and not have to be murdered, before somebody can get what I have.
What do you find the most purposeful ways of sharing?
What do I find? I mean, other than the obvious things, because I have a unique opportunity. I have all this furniture. I can give it, I can share that. But I give it to a lot of women's causes, primarily. Especially, I do donate money because I have been told by parent groups that I'm a lousy volunteer. I was told I have to be nice to the other volunteers, even if they're not showing up or doing what they said they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
In my world, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it or die trying.
Hmm.
And I find so many people, it's easy for them to say they're going to do something and then just forget all about it. And that I have a hard time with.
Well, I guess that brings it right back to the beginning of being intentional with our language and our words.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like that. If I had to judge you for,
to do it,
yeah, if I had to judge you for,
goddamn do it.
for one of your keys to success, it must be that.
Yeah, maybe.
It must be that belief.
Boy, you would make a good AI.
She's on the AI now. I mean, it's cool that you got to celebrate the internet, and now this whole AI thing is outrageous.
Yeah,
and it's a little scary, the outsourcing of
brain.
Yeah. Like, I'm so stoked my daughter's like in a spelling bee. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you might become like you might be like a rare type. Like, if you just keep spelling, this could be crazy. You could
Nobody
be like,
else will
yeah, I know,
spell,
I know.
yeah.
It's just like wild.
Yeah, that's great. Are you really giving me these?
Yeah,
things?
those are
Well,
gifts.
thank you.
Those are great, by the way. I think those are two of the most, like, some of the best honey on earth and the best tallow balm that exists.
When Bob, my ex, and I lived in Ventura, we had beehives.
Ventura, California?
Yeah.
My dad, Bob, used to live in Ventura.
Your dad, Bob? Oh my God, I'll find out if that was my ex. No.
In a bus with his friends.
Really?
Bob Eisenman.
Wow. What years?
That's a great question. Let me think about this. Let me guess. I bet it was like between mid 60s and mid 70s.
Mm-hmm. I was there from 75 to
70.
from 75 to 78.
Wow, you and my dad have quite a bit of overlap when it comes to New Jersey and now Ventura.
Yes.
Yeah.
How old is your dad?
He bought a bus from the school. They were gonna
Wow.
It was like a short bus thing,
Yeah.
and him and his friends gutted it out and made 4 beds out of it.
That was really popular then. When I was I went to University of Connecticut. And so at UConn, I lived in a big house with all these, there were like 8 of us, and 5 people renovated a bus, and they were going to drive down to, I can't remember what's at the very end, Chile, I guess, South America.
Oh yeah. Like, yep. Patagonia, all the way down
the U.S. and then going down through Mexico. And
that's radical. That's a radical journey right there.
I didn't go because I was too chicken. I was like really afraid of going into South America at that time.
Did they all make it okay? Through that trip, at least?
We're not on, are we?
We still are on. Yeah, we can save it. We can save that for another off air.
Yeah, we'll save that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the most sketchy situations of my life when I was in the presence of law enforcement was definitely in Central and South America, in multiple countries, and once actually in Israel. At the airport,
Really?
Whoa, man, they were after me. At the airport, this little girl comes up to me and like she has all of her equipment, like she works there.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Excuse me, sir, we have a suspicion that you have explosives on you." And I was like, I was like, "Are you?" I was like, "Is this a joke?" And I was like, I was by myself, and I was like, "Whoa," I'm like, You're not." And then there's another guy was behind her and like, "Yeah, you need to come back here."
Oh,
and I was all by myself. No one even knew. I was like on a standby flight by myself back to the United States. And all of a sudden I'm in the back of this room.
Suspicious.
I had a pretty big beard and I was playing standby without any check-in luggage.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense. And so what they did is they took my razor, they could make a big deal about how I could get this razor. I'm like, you can get rid of the razor, just throw it away. And then they're like, the computer, I'm like, you can't fly with this computer on the plane. I'm like, my computer, I need my computer. So they checked it in under the plane somehow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But it was a nerve-wracking thing.
I'll bet. Now, what ended up happening is one of the girls ended up having an abortion in Mexico, and she and her boyfriend had to fly home because she was sick, and I guess 3 of them did make it down as far as Colombia, but that was as far as they got. They never made it.
Colombia is a
home.
little thick. There's some thick stuff through that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
Central
yeah.
Panama to Colombia. Is that okay leaving the interview, that part? Because we're still on.
I don't know.
All right. Well,
I would not leave the abortion part on.
we have a few edits.
Although if you want to put in there, Yovel,
Oh, that's fine with me. That's a real
Yeah,
story.
it's
That's a real
fine.
story.
Yeah,
The only thing I think we should cut out then is
your daughter.
Mm,
I wrote it.
yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, is there anything else for you on your end?
No, not that I can think of. Thank you. This was actually fun.
This boy and girl are going to be well equipped when the time comes to take their places as worthy members of adult society.
Aloha, y'all. This is Daniel Eisenman, the host of the Breaking Normal podcast, where my guests are all invited based on the frequency of synchronicity, all done in person, and all trailblazers in the breaking of all things normal.